One of the ways to build upon an existing idea is to give it a new twist. And when you take the initiative to look at the new video games on the market, there's a lot you can learn from this process. XCOM 2 is the sequel to the 2012 XCOM reboot. It tries to change a few things around to make it less like its predecessors and more of its own thing. Does it do a good job of that? Let's find out. The game moves away from the original alien invasion setting. The aliens are on the ground already, part of society, but they're doing their nasty work behind the scenes. XCOM is now a terrorist organization, but the mission is still the same: protect humanity from the alien threat. You don't have a global reach right off the bat. You begin in one part of the world, randomly picked, and expanding your reach, all while defending your areas and managing the few resources you have. The Avenger is your mobile command ship, beginning in a very basic but functional state. This is where you do all the research and production for the Resistance, and it houses all of your forces. You can add additional facilities by clearing out alien debris in parts of the ship, essentially the same base building element as the previous game. The Avatar project is the defeat condition in the game. Once the progress bar fills up completely and the timer runs down to 0, you lose. Some missions allow you to move the progress bar back when completed successfully, but these missions are locked if you don't have any contact with the region it's in. The dark events replace the panic element from the previous game. There are a set of 3 penalties that make the game harder for you temporarily, 1 or 2 of which may be hidden, but can be revealed by spending intel. You have the chance to counter one of the 3 events in a guerrilla op, and this will give you a bonus on top of completing the objective. Then there's the alien facilities and the retaliations you have to contend with. Facilities accelerate the progress of the Avatar project, and retaliations cause you to lose contact with the region. Outside of this, you'll be constantly flying around from one location to another, gathering supplies and intel, contacting new regions, upgrading and researching stuff. It's a constant struggle for resources. You will never have enough for everything, so you have to prioritize what you want very carefully. The air interception element has been completely removed from the game, so no more researching and building new fighter craft. There's much more emphasis on the ground combat. The basics are the same as in the previous game: 4 to 6 squad members, class-based system, cover system, and 2 actions for each squad member per turn. But they reworked some of the classes to incorporate new elements into the game, such as stealth. On most missions, you now begin in a concealed state, meaning the enemy won't be aggressive towards you until you're revealed to them, either by moving into their sight radius or attacking them. The new Ranger class has abilities to complement this new mechanic, in addition to carrying a sword and having melee abilities. I like the new classes because it makes everyone much more versatile, but at the same time I'm disappointed because this versatility is built on top of the consolization stemming from the previous game. Many of those gameplay elements were streamlined, such as the loadout decisions being replaced with class-based abilities. Any monkey with a machine gun should be able to put down suppressive fire, yet in these games, you somehow need the suppressive fire ability to do that. Come on. You can't have a member of your squad carry extra rockets for someone else. You can't even swap your weapons in the field. If my sniper gets flanked and dies, I can't send someone back to pick up their sniper rifle and fill that role. Those are just a few examples. But despite these limitations, the game manages to diversify the types of missions available, not just the same old raid a crashed UFO in a rural area. The Avenger can be attacked if the Hunt XCOM Dark event is active, and this turns into a ground mission that results in losing the game if you fail. Enemies swarm towards your ship in great numbers, but it's a rare mission where you can have more than 6 soldiers at a time, and you can even use your wounded soldiers. There's also many bugs in the game, albeit very minor ones, and they're mainly limited to the UI only, but still annoying. Sometimes the camera angles prevent you from seeing how much damage you did, and in some cases, the damage doesn't appear at all. Sometimes the transparency in the terrain glitches out, preventing you from seeing the tiles you want to move to. Many of the tooltips only show you very generic information. When I'm trying to buy stuff from the black market, it doesn't tell me what the items do, and a lot of the orders don't mention the conditions or the stats for executing them. If you evacuate on certain missions, like the hacking missions, even if you successfully hack into the workstation, that mission is considered a failure. But the dark event was countered and the sponsor says I still did a good job, so I'm confused. Of course, I won't get any corpses or any extra loot on the map, but I didn't actually fail the mission. I don't know if they're just showing me the wrong screen, but it seems like a success in my book. In a couple cases, I've actually burned through a few turns trying to figure out where I need to stand in order to pick up a body, or if I'm even allowed to pick them up. That's something that needs to be marked on the map. My biggest complaint would be the poor frame rates. I had to turn my graphics down to high in order to achieve 60 frames per second, but it's not constant. Many times it dips below 40 FPS, and if it's raining, it can go down to 20 FPS. Fortunately, the game is turn-based, so the lower frame rates won't have much effect on your ability to play, but I would like to see an improvement here. Other things are intended to be in the game, but are annoying nonetheless. I don't need to see the drone flying back to its owner at the beginning of a turn. Just show the message saying that and give me immediate control. I just feel that a lot of these uncontrollable sequences should be skippable, or at least allow me to do something else while that's happening, because I really don't want to watch this every single time. I want to play the game. I do like the gameplay for this game because it works and it's balanced around these streamlined elements, so I'm hoping people don't get the wrong idea and think I don't like this game, but this lack of depth can be a turnoff to people. It means the difference between playing a game for hundreds of hours and several playthroughs, and playing the game for around 30 to 40 hours or one playthrough. But it's also important to note that while the original reboot was multi-platform, this game is PC exclusive, and that factors into the analysis of this game. I'd imagine in the first few weeks, we'll see a few fixes. PC gamers are really anal about getting their games fixed, myself included. The usual reviews and Let's Plays will come out, but I feel the Let's Players for this game will garner more viewership relative to other games they play because everyone's game will be different. Different starting regions, different squad members, different choices to be made, and of course, different outcomes. XCOM 2 already sold more than 500,000 copies, so it's already off to a good start. I'd expect it to hit 1 million copies in this time frame. Firaxis already said they're aware of the performance issues, so we should be seeing higher frame rates very soon. After a few months, this game will be alive. Just the fact that they made this PC exclusive to focus heavily on their target audience tells me they still have a few tricks up their sleeves to maximize their sales numbers. Mods are what will keep this game alive, but it's also possible that they'll announce a port to consoles. The reason XCOM 2 was made PC exclusive was for two reasons. Firaxis Games is a very small studio and they decided not to stretch themselves thin on making console versions, and the reboot for XCOM didn't sell very well on consoles. Basically, they're focusing on the people that's giving them money. They're building a positive reputation and goodwill to get us to preach the good word of XCOM 2. That's what it looks like they're trying to do, and perhaps they're hoping that a very successful PC game will have a positive impact on future console sales if they make the decision to port the game. I like how XCOM 2 moves away from the whole alien invasion scenario and changes it into resisting alien overlords. It opens up a whole different set of gameplay dynamics, and it's also harder to compare it to the older XCOM games because it tries to be different. The game has a lot of bugs, but they barely affect the overall gameplay. It still keeps the streamlined gameplay of the original consolized reboot, but it's easy to get past that and enjoy the game for what it is. But the price of the game sucks. It's $60, and for what you ultimately get, I highly recommend waiting for a sale or a permanent price drop. And around the same time that happens, we'll do the follow-up to the game. Thanks for watching.